everybody.
Well, hi, friends, from Salt Lake City, Utah.
It's Thank God I'm Atheist.
A podcast that's talking about, politics and religion and stuff.
Wow, you make it sound exciting, Dan.
Yeah, but we're a couple of atheists trying to survive in these United States. It's not easy.
Yeah, I'm Frank Feldman.
And I'm Dan Beecher.
And coming up on the show today, Dan, a phenomenon amongst Mormons, the family portrait with Jesus.
Avec Jesus. Con Jesus.
There's a whole cottage industry that's popped up here in Utah of the Jesus model.
Yeah.
So we're going to be talking about that and some of the bizarro implications and whatnot.
Oh, there are implications.
So
don't kid yourself.
We will be.
There are definitely implications.
Yeah, we'll be getting to that on the second half of the show, i.e. the last 5 minutes. It's an hour-long show, everybody. But anyway,
the pedant strikes again.
How dare you, Dan?
Yeah.
Porn.
Yay!
Porn, Dan.
Can we do that for the show? Can the show be about that?
Well, at least the next few minutes are going to be about pornography and pornography use by Christians.
Yeah. Oh,
no.
They've been... Surely they don't even know it exists.
No, they seem to be very aware of it, Dan. I found this on a Christian news website.
Yeah.
And so the angle is one of hand-wringing and
yes.
And oh my, it's a pornography problem.
It's a nightmare.
It's always painted in very negative light.
Mm-hmm.
But the statistics that they are being open and honest about are revelatory.
Okay.
This is, the Barna Group. They're like a Christian research organization.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they were behind this study that they are calling Beyond the Porn Phenomenon. This is a follow-up to the porn phenomenon from about 10 years ago.
Oh, okay.
And so they have some numbers to compare. They have trends.
The phenomenon that is, look, they look at porn.
Yes. Well, the phenomenon is the availability of porn, right? The porn used to be. You really had to want porn, right?
Yeah.
You had to seek it out. You had to do some walks of shame, perhaps.
Right.
You had to order stuff from
you had to put on
sketchy magazines. So the last few pages of sketchy magazines.
You had to put on a coat and then like a scarf and sunglasses and a wacky hat and walk into an unsavory magazine store.
You had to dress up as a pervert. And then,
and then be a pervert. It's like you can't just be a pervert in peace.
Anyway, they found in this study that 75% of Christian men, Dan, and 40% of Christian women view pornography on some level.
Yeah.
That is an 11-point rise for men and a 25-point increase for women over the last 8 years, which is when the last study came out. The porn phenomenon came out.
Yeah.
This compares to what they're calling the general public's use of porn, which is everyone else. They have the Christians and then everyone else.
Right.
That's 61% of adults in the general public use porn, which is a 6-point increase in 8 years. But if you combine all the numbers, they're saying that 64% of men and 44% of women use porn on a semi-regular basis, at least. And
so wait, that makes the Christians higher than
Christian use is higher than general
Right.
public.
That makes sense.
At least Christian men. Christian women were slightly less than the national average.
Okay, sure.
But then they also have numbers on porn use by pastors. Dan. This is where the shame comes out. Oh no. Oh. Apparently 67% of pastors.
How can they get that number?
So that they have a personal history of porn use at some point in their past, with 18% of pastors admitting to a current use of pornography, which they couch as a current struggle with pornography.
Right.
Which of course they have put them in. They are struggling
because
needlessly.
They put themselves in that position.
Yeah. So, but I believe it. They are struggling.
Yeah. Considering the alternative, they should be gleefully encouraging their pastors to use porn. Like that should be like, oh yeah, please do that.
They don't they just don't see the world that way. Right? And yeah, like you would rather have them doing that than foisting themselves on unwanted people, or I guess they want the people, and people who don't want the anyway. They of course talk about teens gaining access to porn.
That is a very big difference between our generation and the current young people.
And while I don't know, I'm not a parent, I'm not super steeped on the topic of like teens and sex and whatnot, and what's sort of healthy and unhealthy. But it seems like to me the real risk, they're hand wringing over just the general viewing of porn, and it seems like the real risk here is not the observance of humans in being sexual, but it's some sexual portrayals and unrealistic portrayals of sex, or perhaps violent portrayals that could really skew a teen's concept of sex if they're not having good, healthy conversations at home with their parents, which these kids would not be.
Right.
So,
that's the problem. Like purity culture means that everything's supposed to be hush hush and you're not talking about any of this stuff. And that's where the real problem is.
Yeah.
If this could just be open and fine and discussed and nobody's shamed and whatever, it changes the dynamic entirely.
Yeah. I actually saw an article just like last week here in sort of the local media that was talking about a BYU, a Brigham Young University professor, so a Mormon, who does research on essentially this topic. And he was talking about how when he goes and does presentations to like little ward groups of parents that, so Mormon parents, the parents come into these like, I'm sure these are probably just like firesides about pornography, right? So the parents come in and they're sort of frantic about the topic, right? They're panicking about the topic. Right. They ask questions about, well, how do I stop my kids from viewing porn? And here's this like Mormon professor who's like, has a very healthy perspective on it. And he's just like, listen, they're going to see it. What's important is that you have conversations with your kids about sex, right? Yeah. And about what they might actually be seeing, and talk about realistic expectations and unrealistic expectations and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, Jesus, this guy is like, actually, he's not far off, right? He's actually probably pretty close to the right way of handling this. But anyway, so the one thing that I did bury this a little bit, Barna did not work alone. They worked with a group called Pure Desire Ministries, which Pure Desire, I had to look them up. Apparently they don't like porn. But they also do a lot of counseling. Sounds like for victims of sexual abuse and whatnot. But the name, they could be producing porn with that name.
They could be. That's a good point.
You're not hearing it, guys. You're not hearing it.
We need to start a porn company that has a very similar name. That's like Purist Desire or something. Just to mess with them. Well, just to ruin their thing.
I bet you anything that if you went to like a domain registry, you could get puredesire.xxx, or it's already taken by a porn website. Anyway,
I like it.
So it goes on. Of course, it goes on and just like breaks down all of this stuff to find out like, oh my God, these pastors and their porn addictions. Which was another thing that BYU guy was talking about, was sort of the and I was like ready to pat him on the back. He was talking about sort of the risks of couching it in addiction terms and whatnot.
There's a lot of controversy over whether you can even call it. I personally, just from what I've read, think it's probably wrong to say porn addiction.
Yeah.
That's probably an incorrect assignation of that terminology.
Yeah. A porn struggle is far more appropriate.
Obsessive, compulsive porn use,
right.
Or whatever. But that's not the same.
Compulsive is probably,
Yeah, that's not the same as addictive.
Yeah. Okay, here are a couple numbers that are worth sharing. 49% of those who profess to be Christians responding to the survey, so that they were comfortable with their porn use, as compared to 73% of non-Christians who were saying that they were comfortable with their porn use. So us non-Christians, about 3/4 of us are totally cool with the porn use. About 21% of Christians express a wish to completely stop using pornography. 90% of teens and 96% of young adults are either encouraging, accepting, or neutral when they talk about porn with their friends. Which is interesting. This is from a different survey, so I will stop there. But there you go. Christians and porn.
I mean, it's no surprise to anyone who pays attention to anything that the people who are most uptight about it are the people who are most prone to compulsive use of it. That's just kind of how the thing works.
Yeah.
And generally, my understanding is that when, you chill out about porn being this horrible, awful thing, the compulsion becomes a lot easier to manage. When it stops being a shame-based thing.
Right.
When you take the shame out of it, it becomes a far less troubling thing.
Yeah. Well, there you have it.
But I'm no expert, so don't take my word for it. What do I know?
Ask ChatGPT instead, guys.
It knows everything. I recently had a thing where sorry, this is a little sidebar, but I asked ChatGPT about a certain book, and it said, yes, I'm familiar with this book, blah, 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 and says it was written by, and it gives the wrong name of an author.
Okay.
And I was like, are you sure it was written by so-and-so? And it said, oh, you're right to call me out. No, that's not the right author. The correct author is, and it gave another wrong name.
Oh, no.
It just kept making it up. I asked 3 different times. The last one, I was just like, nope. And it was like, okay. And then it finally looked it up. Like it checked 4 different websites.
Oh.
And I was like, why didn't you do that at the beginning? Why are you not checking websites? Why are you just inventing information?
Because ChatGPT is just like us. When it doesn't know, it just pulls it out of its ass. And
it so does. It just makes shit up. It's absurd. It's kind of astounding. I'm almost impressed by how bad it is. Anyway, there you go. I am going to take us to California, where in the middle of nowhere, what's the name of the town? I looked it up. I had to look it up because it was such a stupid little town it's not even a town. It's just in the deserts, desert of California.
Okay.
Near Anza, California.
Huh. Okay.
Which is sort of like halfway between Los Angeles and the Salton Sea.
Oh, yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah. Beautiful area.
But literally just the middle of nothing.
Yeah.
There is this little college. They call it Olivet University. And it's not good. As a it is a Christian college. It's associated with a South Korean minister named David Jang.
Okay.
This guy, I should have done more research about him, but something is up with this guy. He's a nutball. Apparently, quite a few of they've accused his little cult, his little sect. It's big. It's not that little. of a lot of former members have said that basically they see him as the Messiah.
Oh,
as the returned Messiah.
Good for him.
Yeah.
That is quite the accomplishment. Like, wouldn't you feel good about yourself if you could convince a group of people to see you as the Messiah? Like,
let me tell you something.
That is an accomplishment.
I've seen enough cult documentaries to know it's not that hard.
Then do it, Dan.
I don't
if
want
it's not
to do
so
it. Are you
hard,
kidding me?
You could pull it off, Dan.
You've
got like a big old beard.
Don't you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby. I don't need any of that nonsense in my life.
You could do it. Listen, I've seen these stories always end well, Dan.
If David Koresh can do it, I could do it.
Yeah. It would be exciting.
If Keith Raniere can do it,
Dan,
I can do it.
It would be exciting. What a thrill that would be.
It would be a lot of fun.
You can have so much fun for like
if our patrons
years,
call for it,
and then
I'll try.
Usually, I hate to point out, there's usually death.
Oh sure,
death usually happens,
but worth it is all I'm saying. Anyway, so this guy is a bit of a nut, and his cult, his group, it has done some weird stuff. This university, did you know this? And David Jang's sect, they used to own Newsweek magazine.
What?
Yeah.
When?
Not that long ago.
Oh, so
is my understanding.
Because I mean, Newsweek is not the publication that it used to be.
No.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's probably why. Anyway, this university, I'm trying to read between the lines on this thing. Apparently, here's what my read on this is, and don't quote me on this. This is just I'm just sort of trying to figure things out. What happens is they bring in these East Asian students. They offer them a chance to come and live in the United States and get Christian schooling for free.
Okay.
That sounds like a great deal.
Yeah. And
then these kids come to this school and they are not allowed to leave the campus without an escort or without written permission from administration or something.
Mm-hmm. They
are forced to work frequently full-time hours or more for little or no money.
Jesus.
It's a slave ring. I don't know how else you put it. Like they've trafficked kids in on false pretenses. Anyway, it's kind of a disaster. The school has been accredited by this Christian school accreditation group, which is already spurious, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like Christian accreditation is not like academic accreditation.
No, we could get that.
Well,
We could start a Christian university and get a credit.
Apparently, even they have standards, because this school has been in like they were on notice. They were warned. They were on warning.
Oh no!
They
the
were
dreaded warning. Okay.
This, like, if you're so bad that even Christian schools are like, you're not doing a good job as a school.
Yeah.
That's bad. So apparently, when California regulators actually like went onto campus to be like, what is happening? Are you teaching anything? They could barely find any evidence of teaching going on.
Oh my God.
Like, there were a few online classes that were being very sparsely attended. So it was just bad. So what's happened is that California's sort of governing bodies, a judge has just ruled they have to stop. You have to not take any more students. You have to basically stop being a school.
Right.
You're done. Which that's good.
Yes.
I'm glad that California actually has regulators that are willing to do that. However, the university has now this is their next gambit, said, no, we'll remain open. Sincerely held religious beliefs, exemption, suck it. I don't know how that's going to play out. That will take some time.
I mean, I don't like the the students being forced into slavery.
Oh, that's good of you.
I don't like that.
I think you've taken the correct approach.
But I want to see this exemption for religious beliefs to play out to its full and most absurd conclusion, right? I want this to break itself, because it's going to have to at some point, just absolutely as an exemption that we allow for anything, right?
Right.
It's got to break itself at some point, especially because like our court system is not going to break it for us. Right. So it's just got to get so absurd, and people are, going to have to be forced into slavery.
Well,
inescapable slavery for I don't know how long.
What's starting to happen
I'm not serious.
is that groups, different competing sincerely held beliefs are starting to make it into court.
Yeah.
And that's when it's going to break itself. When it's like my sincerely held belief against your sincerely held belief, whose wins, and we're both Christian, and that's when it's going to be like, I guess there were good reasons to not carve out exceptions for no good reason. Because
they'll probably just like make some sort of judicial equivalent to agree to disagree.
Well, what it'll be is, I mean, with our current justices in the Supreme Court, it's just, well, which one of your sects do we like more? Do we have more respect for?
Yeah. And guess who wins when, 6 Catholics are on the Supreme Court?
Right.
So who wins? Who wins?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So there you go. Fun with Christian schools.
All right, Dan. Well, here's some good holiday news.
Oh, good.
The Vatican apparently is on the brink of bankruptcy.
What?
They've had some tough financial times, and we're talking about the Vatican, the entity, the Vatican, right? The nation state.
Okay.
The Vatican. But the Vatican obviously pays for all sorts of things that are Catholic, right?
Right.
Yeah, this is some crazy stuff. Apparently, they had a deficit of $87 million last year.
Which to an American mind, that sounds like, well, that's just nothing.
Well, yeah, but this is also the Vatican has 1,100 people who live there or something like that.
Yeah, literally, we're talking about a country that you can walk around before lunch.
Yeah, for sure. And that's an increase of 5.3 million from the year prior. And the Vatican apparently is in more debt than they've probably ever been. And this is jeopardizing the retirement funds, I guess, for clergy and staff and whatnot, for like the Catholic Church, right?
Yeah.
Type level here. This is where it sort of starts to span out across the world. Well, they are blaming this on Pope Francis, or at least his progressive policies that have alienated a lot of large donors. So a lot of conservative Catholics are withholding their money from the church because of Pope Francis's stance on climate change, immigration, transgender rights, which they shouldn't be too threatened by his stance on transgender rights, because I don't even know if he knows what his stance on transgender rights is.
But he hasn't come out with a full-throated, like, everybody hate these people,
right?
Sort of
yeah,
thing.
exactly.
So.
And so they're all so frustrated and feeling a little alienated, and so this is like totally hurting the coffers at the Vatican.
Wow.
Which is okay.
Yeah.
I mean, like, if the Vatican, like, I mean, had to declare bankruptcy, how does that work?
Right.
As if you were, this is the risk, I guess, of being your own nation.
Yeah.
Is that if you go bankrupt, you can't just, get protection from your government in order to ward off debtors, right? Like,
it does feel a little like, since they're their own nation, they can actually do the office, the thing from The Office of just standing in the middle of the courtyard and yelling, "I declare bankruptcy," because what is anybody going to do?
Well, no, yeah. I mean, if
they could just go around saying, "I cancel this debt and I cancel this debt and I cancel this debt," you're just not getting paid,
right?
Because what can anyone do?
Yeah, no, that's probably pretty true. It would probably hurt their ability to borrow money in the future.
Yes, but that ability is already very clearly hurting. I mean, like, now it's just a matter of how do we.
Who knows though? Like, they maybe like have actually like used St. Peter's as collateral on some of this stuff. Like anything. I don't know how this stuff works, but like, then all of a sudden some Swiss bankers show up and they activate the Swiss Guard at that point. Right. And that's
who have been there as their proxy the whole time.
Yeah, that's everybody. That's why the Swiss Guard actually is there.
Oh my God. This is a good conspiracy theory. I'm enjoying this a lot.
They are hoping, because tourism, I guess, has traditionally been one of the larger income streams for the Vatican. And they're hoping that the Great Jubilee of 2025 will be a little bit of a windfall for the Vatican.
I hope it's not. I hope it falls so flat.
Well,
that would be amazing.
I mean, they're expecting 35 million pilgrims. 35 million people descending on Rome, which is a city of about, I think, like 3 million or 4 million, something like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It seems bigger than that.
It's sprawly. Yes. It's a big sprawly city.
Yeah.
So they're hoping that will help, because people are excited about the 1700th anniversary of the Council of Nicaea.
Who isn't excited about?
I am so excited.
The 1700th is the big one.
I mean, what is that? Like the quintuple diamond jubilee or something?
The Susquehanna centennial.
Anyway, apparently, yeah, it's a mess, and they don't really see a good way out unless money starts to magically appear, which they might actually be hoping for. So,
who knows? I mean, if they're the real Church of God, He'll provide.
They need to, and I would love it if there was some back channel communication between them and the Mormons to just be like, because the Mormons were in big financial trouble back in like the 50s or 60s, right? And just being like, how did you guys do it? You know, we need a $150 billion, you know, fund.
Oh my God. The Mormons could start letting them invest in their fund that they run for themselves.
Yeah, why not?
Oh my God. And then the Mormons own the Catholics in some sort of financial secret way. Oh, this right here. This is a story for a show.
This is like what's the guy, the Brown? What's his the Da Vinci Code?
A Dan Brown
type novel here, Dan.
Absolutely,
you were onto something.
This is going to be fun. Let's somebody help me make it happen. Let's do this thing. All right. Well, I'm gonna move on to a thing that is just. I've tried to wrap my head around this story. It's tricky. The Biden administration got themselves into some hot water. I don't know if you've heard about this. There's a war happening in Israel, and the Biden administration has been very supportive of the nation of Israel in its endeavors. Very much to the chagrin of, especially, of many Americans, of all of the ones that should have been voting for Kamala, but then didn't because of this. And especially, Muslim Americans. And the Biden administration has been trying to figure out a way to sort of balance their position with Israel with with not being complete assholes to Muslims in the United and Arabs in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
So, with 1 month left in their in his administration, the Biden administration has released a 67-page strategy to fight Islamophobia and counter Muslim and Arab discrimination.
Huh. Okay.
It's that, to me, is it feels like an even bigger slap in the face than supporting Israel, because it is so obviously not going to be put into place the second Biden steps foot out of that office and the other guy walks in. Like, literally everything.
Yeah, like any plans of any sort at this point it's kind of just, why bother?
And this and let's be clear, this plan, I have not read it. It is 67 pages of boring. This plan, by all accounts that people who have read it, they're like, yeah, it's good, but like wildly insufficient anyway. So it's not even that strong of an idea. It's there's nothing groundbreaking in it. It's things like training at every level of government on not being Islamophobic, and that's it's that kind of a thing. Insufficient at best, but completely insufficient when you consider that the opposite is what's about to happen.
Yeah.
Like the exact opposite is what's coming into focus. So it just seems, why even release it? Why? I mean, just so that you can say, no, look, I did care while I was there.
And maybe a little bit of like, this is what you could have had.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Right? Like, screw you for not voting for Kamala, all you Arabs and Muslims out there.
Almost.
Yeah.
I mean, if it sort of feels like a little bit of a fuck you, well, maybe it is.
Yeah.
Maybe
you're not wrong. Like, you're not wrong. How else are you supposed to view this?
Yeah. Well, that's wild, Dan.
I read it and I can't wrap my head around what are you doing?
Yeah.
It kind of is just a slap in the face.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, any plan right now, how would you possibly think that any plan released in this moment is going to be honored by the Trump administration, which has, I know that which has no ability to follow a plan, right?
Yeah. Not only, but also
and
no intention of following a plan like this.
Yeah.
Like the Trump administration will probably put out a similar plan in the opposite direction, like training for how to hate Muslims more, training for how to discriminate against Arabs whenever possible. Like, I don't know what they're thinking
for discrimination.
Yeah,
I mean, I guess it's possible.
At this point, what does the Donald have to lose?
Yeah, no kidding. All right, Dan. That's, I guess, enough of that.
It is.
All right. So moving right along. So I want to go to Madison, Wisconsin, where there's a tradition going on 30 years. The Freedom from Religion Foundation, and we've talked about this in the past on the show, that they put up their own holiday display at the state capitol, and this is in response to the presence of a nativity scene, right?
Okay, sure.
Which is on the Capitol grounds, and so they requested to have this put up. It's been granted for the last, again, going on 30 years. It features a depiction of Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Jefferson, and George Washington looking at a Bill of Rights in a manger while the Statue of Liberty stands amongst them. And there's a little sign that says, "At this season of the winter solstice, may reason prevail. There are no gods, no devils, no angels, no heaven or hell. There is only our natural world. Religion is but myth and superstition that hardens hearts and enslaves minds." Okay. So that's there.
A little heavy-handed. Can I just say that?
Yeah, yes, I agree. So for this apparently has been bugging the good folks over at the Catholic, what's the group? Catholic League. It's Bill Donahue. Yeah. That guy.
Yeah.
So they've just been gritting their teeth for 30 years. And just mad. Just mad. Having a hard time getting through every season. And so they decided to respond now to the Freedom from Religion Foundation's response to a nativity scene on Capitol grounds that shouldn't be there. And so this is their rebuttal. They put up a big billboard in Madison. It's all it is words typed out, not even typeset in a very attractive way. It's just sort of like they got into Word and just typed it out with lots of capitals, some italics, and anyway,
you're saying Bill Donahue himself designed this billboard on Microsoft Word?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's my take on what happened, because it is hideous. It is like a white background with black letters. Right.
Oh my God.
And I'm pretty sure that is Times New Roman.
Wow. Okay. Perfect. Excellent.
So he's even using an old version of Word, which would make sense, right?
And there's no picture or anything?
No. There's the only graphic element is the Catholic League's logo in the lower left corner. The rest of it is just so festive. It says, "Atheists strike out at Christmas." On the first
okay.
line. And the next line says, celebrating winter solstice is a child's game. This is our season, not yours.
Wow.
Celebrate the birth of Christ. Merry Christmas. Paid for by the Catholic League. Down at the bottom.
I'm literally confused as to what the hell what are they saying?
They are saying
What's the first part? You said
atheists strike out at Christmas. Oh, maybe it's atheists strike out at Christmas celebrating winter solstice. No, that's definitely celebrating winter solstice. This is not a poem that you're just supposed to like read the next line right away. I think
it
each
sounds
line
like beat poetry is what it sounds like.
Atheists strike out at Christmas. Celebrating winter solstice is a child's game.
See, it works.
This is art. Yeah, this is what we didn't know about
the Catholic League.
About Bill Donahue. I always want to call him Phil Donahue, and I know he's not Phil Donahue. He's Bill Donahue. Anyway, so this is the I got this off of RNS. No, this is from Christian Post. And so they have a quote from him talking about it. He says, we decided to display the billboard as a direct refutation of the annual winter solstice display in Madison, Wisconsin, that is erected on in the Capitol building by Freedom from Religion Foundation. Right. Skipping over the fact that once again, the Freedom from Religion Foundation is doing their thing in response to Christian overstep, right?
Right.
But he says their stunt is done to compete with, so he does acknowledge it, and therefore neuter the meaning of the nativity scene at Christmas. This billboard will be up for 2 weeks. He says, our billboard emboldens Catholics, letting them know that we will not be bullied by our adversaries. I guess the FFR responded on Twitter saying that the Scrooges at the Catholic League really know how to spread love and joy during the holiday season.
Right?
Happy holidays.
I mean, look, if you're like the FFR puts up a display that what they say is basically just, they just assert there is no God.
Yeah. Yes.
Don't worry about
okay.
it.
So here's the deal. I do want to loop back to their display. So thank you for bringing it up. I think the sign, right? Their message is pretty good, right? Like I think there's a little bit of religion is but myth and superstition that hardens heart and enslaves minds. Okay, true, fine, whatever.
That's a shot across the bow.
Yeah,
they're taking shots.
But here's the part that does feel a little bit like trolling. And it's Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Jefferson, and George Washington looking at a Bill of Rights in a manger. Right. While the Statue of Liberty stands behind them. That part of the display feels because they're making fun a little bit of the nativity scene itself. Right. That does feel like trolling.
It is trolling. It's 100% trolling.
And I would just say that 30 years ago, that was the right stance.
Yeah.
The numbers of atheists and non-believers, sort of the nuns in this country, that was a low number 30 years ago in this country. Yeah. Right. And I think we're in a much different position now as non-believers, the community of non-believers or whatever, that maybe it's just, I know it's for they can do whatever they want, right? But maybe a little bit of an update, something that's a little bit more gracious, right? Something that's a little bit more neighborly, that's a little less poke. That's just saying, hey, we're here too. We have our representation. But I get that they are that their display is a protest.
Yes.
Of the nativity scene that should not be there. So I don't know, so maybe you do keep it a little poke, but maybe there's a better, more finessed way of doing that at this point. Right.
I agree with you. I think that is a great take. I think that the truth of the matter is that the time for alienation and we needed the Christopher Hitchens moment.
Yeah.
We needed we needed people out there screaming, no, look at how ridiculous this is.
Yeah.
These beliefs it's okay to not believe these beliefs. They are absurd. Look at the absurdity.
Right.
But I think you're right. We're past that moment.
Yeah.
We're now to a place where it's like, okay, great. You've got the best argument.
Yeah.
So what? Like that is not going to win hearts and minds.
No.
Now is the time where we start doing the things that are effective, rather than the things that are like we've paved the way.
Yeah.
We've laid the foundation. That was foundational. Now it's time to start building.
Yeah. And why not, okay, so you're poking, you want to poke, you want to point out the fact that this nativity scene shouldn't be there in the Capitol. Why not actually just say that?
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't pulled up a picture and dissected it and found exactly everything that they have in their messaging. But the other thing shouldn't be there. And so I don't know. It's the other thing. So here's the thing, and here it's probably why Bill Donahue is justified in putting up a billboard in a way, which is the nativity is just there, right?
Yeah.
It shouldn't be there, but it's also not saying anything about the atheists, right? Whereas they kind of are saying something about the believers. Right.
Yeah. It does kind of.
I don't know. I don't know if that's the right take. I need to mull it over a little bit more. I kind of feel people scream. I mean, this recording hasn't even been finished or posted, and I can already feel people screaming at me
through the ages.
Yeah, and I'm gonna back off that just slightly. As I was saying, and it didn't feel quite right, but
but I think that there is a good point in there, and that is that if you're taking shots at them rather than promoting your thing, it stands to reason that people will take shots back.
Yeah.
Although that billboard, as you read it, it's not just shots. That is an invitation to discriminate.
Yeah.
It's actually dangerous. It's actually it's giving permission to his viewers or to whoever he's trying to talk to.
Yeah.
To hate us.
Well, yeah, and that's encapsulated in the line, "This is our season, not yours."
Right? We don't get to share the season?
Yeah.
We don't get to participate in winter?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
So yeah.
You're right. Because if the message is about solstice and he mentions solstice is a child's game, which what the fuck does that even mean?
What does that mean?
I think he had one too many scotches. Yeah. Seriously, sat down, typed this all out, and sent it over to whoever he would send it to. I mean, get this out there on a billboard. And they're like, oh, okay. Because they're terrified of Bill.
Yeah.
Bill's an asshole, right?
Yeah.
And so they're just like, whatever you say,
and
Bill.
And there is no time when he hasn't had too many scotches.
Yeah, indeed.
All right. Well, I'm going to take us from Wisconsin just down south a little bit further to Iowa, where we're back on a state capital though, where the Satanic Temple of Iowa apparently was planning a fun little doop-de-doo over at the Iowa State Capitol, a holiday festival of some sort. So they were gonna have a whole fun thing. It was like from 9 a.m. till 3 p.m. They were gonna have a whole series of events. It was family friendly. They were gonna play some songs, things like the things that they listed are cute. "I'll Be Your Mirror" by the Velvet Underground. A Depeche Mode song, "Waiting for the Night." Like, it's there. This isn't death metal or whatever. It's just some fun little subversive songs. They were gonna make ornaments with the kids, which is kind of fun, and there was gonna be a Krampus costume contest. So wholesome satanic fun, as they are wont to do. Just something to freak people out, but only because the word Satan keeps getting said in conjunction with this thing. They were all cleared to do it. They were ready to go, and suddenly they got a notice that no, they have been denied. So apparently what happened was they got a thing that said, "After careful consideration of administrative rules and DAS policy," I don't know what that is, "I determined the totality of the event request to include elements that are harmful to minors."
What?
And therefore denied the request.
So they're just saying that Satanism
just
is harmful to minors. Is that the stance they're taking?
Yeah.
Because what you just described was a family-friendly event.
Yeah.
Like in every description except for they're Satanists.
Correct. They and they kept promoting it as Satanist. And why would they do that? And what's going on? And there will be good Christian people with kids who might walk through the Capitol at that exact moment. And what will we do then?
Whoa.
So yes, harmful to children. Harmful.
That is a stance to take.
Yes, indeed.
That is, I mean, is it the state's stance also to remove children from Satanist homes? Right? Like, you better be consistent with what your state's doing.
Yeah, you better figure out what specifically is harmful to children. And then you got to enforce that shit. Oh, is it indoctrination of kids into weird and spooky ideologies? Cuz I got bad news for you guys.
I'd like to point at that man on a cross hanging in front of your chapel. Right?
Yeah.
Like, because that's weird and fucking creepy. Right.
Let's talk. Can we talk about the belief in the rapture, please? Because we know that traumatizes kids for years, for life sometimes.
Yeah. Like, so, they don't see. I mean, obviously, you don't see your own weirdness, I guess. But like,
right.
Talk about. That's wild. I'm blown away that they would actually try to make that claim.
Yep.
Because now they've got, the Satanists have something to go after.
Absolutely.
Like they've got some, I almost feel, I don't know, I'm not a lawyer. I don't know what you can do with that, but that feels dicey.
Literally, it's what
on
the Satanic Temple is trying to do, right? They're trying to goad you into canceling their event.
Right.
Please cancel us. It just points out your own hypocrisy,
right?
And gives us a leg to stand on in the courts.
Yeah. And I love the fact that they just show up. It's just their presence, right? Like they're not being nasty. They're not being like, if this thing had been permitted, they would have shown up and it would have been a really nice event. And that's that.
It would have been just cute.
Yeah.
The kids are making ornaments. Yeah. They're singing some songs. It probably would have been a little weird. But like, it would have been cute.
Yeah. Weird for like straight-laced, suburban types. Don't you
I
think?
was just thinking like they'd probably make some mistake, like everybody sing along to the Velvet Underground, and then like only 3 people know the lyrics, and it just becomes just like weird, like
so awkward. There'd be
Yeah.
some awkwardness.
Yeah.
Maybe.
No, wait, nobody learned these songs. We explicitly laid out which songs there was. Oh man, all right, fine.
All right.
Other than that, it would just, I like the ornament making. I would love to see what kids come up with when they do satanic ornament making.
I mean,
And everybody loves a good Krampus.
yeah.
Krampus. All right. Well, if you would like to write into us about this or any of the things that we've talked about, you can do so. Write into us, podcast at thankgodimatheist.com.
Or call and leave us a voicemail message. We'd love to hear from you. The telephone number is 424-666-8442. Stick around. There's more show coming up.
Well, let's see. We got some folks who wrote into us. Peter wrote into us to say, I think someone should secretly place the Ark. You remember we talked about the Noah's Ark replica that is for sale. Peter said, I think someone should secretly place the Ark on top of Mount Ararat and wait for someone to stumble across it. Lest it be taken as proof of the Bible, something modern should be placed inside. Perhaps it could be wired for Wi-Fi or something. Just to fuck with people.
Oh my God.
I don't know how to get it up there, Peter says. That's not really my department, but Gustavo Fring managed to build a functioning meth lab underneath a pre-existing laundry facility, so I'm sure it can be done. Wouldn't it be fun to see 2 giant Chinook helicopters or 3 trying to like move a huge wooden boat to the top of a mountain?
It would, it'd be quite the feat. It would have to be some sort of black ops operation for it to catch the world by surprise, right?
It's not a bad idea for like you know, someone in Turkey, if you want, like, because nobody cares about a boat thing, but they could turn the government of Turkey or some enterprising Turkish person could definitely like find an opportunity in this to put it, like, if it were on top of Mount Ararat, people would come. They'd give Ken Ham a run for their money. That's all I'm saying. As a tourist attraction, as a place to come.
My understanding that wouldn't be that hard to compete with the Ark experience.
Yeah, they're not doing as well as they had hoped.
Yeah.
But there you go.
That's
all right.
funny.
David wrote into us to say, gentlemen, first the obligatory gushing over how great your podcast is. Thank you.
Aw.
I usually cut out the gushes. People don't like, it feels a little, I don't know, something to read everybody gushing about the show. So
I don't know. I'll take some ditto heads.
yeah, exactly. I probably shouldn't do that. Anyway, David says, in your Half of America Shrugs episode, the question arose about the attraction of parades. Yes, I was the one who brought up that question.
Yeah.
I still don't know why they're there. David says, in many cases, I understand why one would ask, why am I here standing around to watch people and fire trucks pass by? Maybe it's the take me out to the ball game effect. Take me out with the crowd. Who knows? What I do know is that in my little old hometown of Ayden, North Carolina, one should come to the annual parade of lights if for no other reason than yours truly is one of the MCs, and I'm fabulous. If the organizers knew I'm a gaytheist, I might suffer a similar fate to the pagans of Parkersburg, West Virginia. But until then, I wish a jolly happy holidays from the stage.
Oh my God. I love it. Love it.
Yeah, that's great. All right. Well, we've got some folks to thank. I'm going to start us off. Thank you so much to a new teacher over in PayPal. This is Charles. Thank you so much. And congratulations on your new magic powers from us.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you. And we also have another new teacher, Dan.
Ooh.
What did you say the new
Charles.
Oh, Charles. Okay.
Yes.
The new teacher over on Patreon is Michael.
Okay.
So thank you to the both of you very much for supporting the show. And if you'd like to join them, you can do so. Go to our website, thankgodimatheist.com/donate. And then there's all these sorts of options, including the option, which a few people have taken us up on lately, to review the show on whatever platform you enjoy. We've had a few 5-star reviews come in response to your ask a couple weeks ago.
Yes.
And so let's keep that going. That felt
Yeah,
good.
that's helpful.
We love to see them. So that's another way that you can help the show. And as always, Dan, we have our top donor to thank, our Lord and Savior, Davis.
More show coming up.
Hey, Dan.
Yes.
So there was an article this week in the Wall Street Journal, of all places, about a phenomenon here in Utah, which I think we've known about. I feel like we may have even brought it up at some point in the past.
Well, I've seen it in other places. I saw evangelicals doing this.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know that the Mormons had taken up this mantle.
Okay. Well, so this is a phenomenon out there in Jesus land.
Yeah.
Of hiring Jesus models to appear in family portraits, wedding announcements, Christmas greeting cards or whatnot, right?
I love calling it Jesus models because it's just dudes with long hair and a beard. Like, it is so...
Oh,
like...
yes.
The standards are thin on this.
Dudes with long hair, a beard, and white.
Oh, and just the most Nordic... just as Swedish as you please.
It's really, really amazing. It's such a funny phenomenon. The article included a few photos. One of them is sort of this. It's actually one of these portraits, and it has these two little children. Sort of kneeling. Well, Jesus is kneeling, and like the little boy is like on Jesus's knee, and they're out on Antelope Island, clearly, which the article, it's a state park in the middle of the Great Salt Lake,
right?
And the article, somebody's like mentioning that it's sort of a good stand-in area for
Yeah, the Sea of Galilee.
The Sea of Galilee, yeah.
Or you know.
Yeah. And so
the Dead Sea.
Yeah. And it is like, you look at it and it's like, oh yeah, I know exactly what part of the world they're conjuring.
Yeah.
And
you could imagine the historic Jesus walking among that
white historic Jesus, sort of stumbling upon two little white children wandering in the desert.
Did you catch the name of the mother of those two little white children? Because it's perfect.
God, that's how she spells it. That's amazing.
Michaela. That is as Mormon a name as you could possibly get.
Yeah, but look at it. It's not. So it's M-A. So capital M, lowercase a, capital K, A-Y-L-A. So
yeah.
it's like the Michaela, M-C, right?
No,
Mick.
no.
But they did it with an M-A. Yeah, oh, that's adorable.
Yeah.
Michaela.
Capital Kayla. It's perfect. It's
Ma
perfection.
Kayla. Actually, her name is Ma Kayla.
Yeah.
I hope her kids call her Ma Kayla.
Yeah. Anywho, yes.
So wealthy Mormons are doing this, Dan. Right. I want to point this out because I feel like this is an important detail before we get into the rest of the story.
Yeah.
These models are charging $100 at a minimum about $100 an hour for showing up in full Jesus regalia. And so, so you're hiring a photographer, you're paying for Jesus to show up. This is not for just your typical run of the mill Mormon family. They're not doing this. This is for the wealthy Mormon families so that they can hang a picture of them or their kids with Jesus prominently in their house.
Yeah.
So that everybody that comes through, they're beautifully, adorned. What's the house? Their Studio McGee house, that they can show it all off, right? And show how Jesus-y they are as a family. Right?
Yeah, because the poor people have pictures of white dudes with beards and long hair in their house as Jesus, but their family is not it. You know what? They need to start photoshopping. That is the economy way to do this. You just take that photo that you already have framed and hung on the wall. That looks like Obi-Wan Kenobi, young Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Well,
and then just Photoshop your kids in there.
That is the quickest way to end this trend, Dan. This has been percolating out in the world for a little while. Now, if you want to end this, just let the poor Mormons join in. The Mormons, let them join in on the trend, and it's going to shut the whole thing down, because this is about signal. This isn't just about signaling, virtue signaling your level of Christianity. Right. This is also signaling this is a luxury item, right?
Yeah.
This
it's definitely item. About the virtue signaling. That's definitely what's happening here. But yes. You're right. It would ruin it for a lot of people.
It would stop being a status symbol if all of a sudden there's now mall Jesus, right? And you can take your kids, at one end of the mall you have the Santa set up, right? And then at the other end of the mall you have the Jesus set up, and your kids can sit. This setup right here.
This is it.
I could recreate this setup in a mall, right? You have a couple fake rocks, you get some grass around it, and you have a backdrop, a blurry backdrop that suggests, mountains with a lake in a desert, and have people come in, and you can just crank these out.
I love this. I love this idea. Can I just tell you something? I saw a video, a TikTok, just the other day of some pastor going in and yelling. He went to the mall where the Santa was. There's a line for the kids to go sit on Santa's lap. And he literally starts yelling, "Everyone, I'm Pastor Dave. I just want you all to know that there's no such thing as Santa. Santa is a lie. God. Jesus is the real thing, blah, blah, blah." So the dickest of dick moves possible. But instead of that, set up a competing stand on the other side of the mall to get your kid's picture with Jesus. Oh my God. It would work. I'm convinced it would work.
Oh yeah.
Listen, go out there. Especially if you're in the Bible Belt, get yourself a white Jesus guy.
Yeah. And they're everywhere. These are not hard to find.
Do a backdrop. The mall's going to let you in.
Yeah.
They're going to let you do it. And then make your fortune. Send a chunk of it to us. That's only fair.
Because this is where you got the idea.
It's only fair, but we're franchising this out to you guys.
Yeah.
Go ye forth. It's funny. Here's the other thing. What we're going to start getting is competitive Jesusing. Who is the best Jesus in town?
Oh yeah.
I actually sent this article to my friend who has long hair and a beard.
Oh yeah.
And if you put him in a leather jacket, it's a biker look.
Right.
But if you put him in a robe, it's Jesus-y. He's very Jesus-y. And he wrote back and said, "I better pierce my hands and feet just to make it, just to go legit." And I thought, you know what?
Gross.
You're going to get more work that way.
Oh God.
That's how you get the real work.
You don't want to be bleeding on anybody. That's usually bad for business.
No, but you want the holes to be there. You want to be able to show them off. It just classes it up a little bit.
Oh my God. No, it's amazing. No, I was really thinking about this and sort of the signaling that this is doing to other Mormons, right? Like it used to be that when you went into a Mormon house, right, that there would be a giant or a photo of their giant family, right?
Yeah.
Prominently displayed to show off their how much they've procreated. Because that used to be a big fucking thing. The big Mormon family was a thing, and it was about being blessed, right? You not only were you blessed with the care of so many of Heavenly Father's children, right? But you also had supposedly the means to care for all of these children, which we know was not always the case. Yeah. But that was a big virtue signal. And now they've replaced the giant family, photo with actually sitting with Jesus in the most it's just painful.
You have 12 kids. I only have 2, but look, they're with the Savior.
They're with the Savior. He counts for at least 10 kids.
Yeah. That's amazing.
I mean, that's my take on it, because the Mormon culture, I don't know. That's just me.
I just liked your idea of getting an actual Middle Eastern guy dolled up and be like, "Hey, anybody want me to be their Jesus?" And just watch what happens.
No.
As everyone whistles and looks in a different direction like they didn't hear.
Yeah.
No.
Have that guy at the mall and see how successful it is.
Right. Yeah. Literally, if you want this venture to be successful, he is correct, and you will lose money. So.
Oh, yeah.
I'm serious. Mall Jesus is a great idea. I'm dead serious about that. You will make, if you're in, what you find is the wealthy mall in the Bible Belt.
Right.
So, and then you're just going to make money hand over fist.
Well, all right.
Or in Provo, apparently. I didn't think Utahns were like that, but Utah has shifted. Utah is now.
Mormons are just like everyone else,
They really aren't, but they're getting there. Well, that's it for the show. If you'd like to write into us about this or any of the things that we've discussed, if you have a business opportunity involving Jesus's, please feel free to do so. Podcast at thankgodimatheist.com.
Or call and leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442.
Yeah, hey, to support the show, go to thankgodimatheist.com/donate.
This episode was edited by Roger Gowdy. Music was provided by the Red Rock Hot Club and Gordon Johnston.
Hey, thanks y'all for tuning in. We sure do appreciate you.
Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Thank God I'm Atheist is a production of TGIA Media, LLC, copyright 2024, all rights reserved.